Hi everyone and welcome to the very first episode of Classic Gamer 74. I'm Anthony Ventrilo, writer, artist, musician, gamer, and now YouTube host. In this series I'll be talking about some of my all-time favorite games from back in the day, back in the times of the Atari 2600, Atari 7800, Nintendo or the NES, Super Nintendo, arcade, and some PC games. Also, I'll be talking about and profiling some of those lost games that you've probably never heard about, or some prototypes, and some games that never quite got released but are still floating around there somewhere on the internet. And remember, these are my opinions, so some of the games I consider classics, you may consider crap, but again, you're entitled to your own opinion. Also, don't forget to leave suggestions in the comments section below about some games you'd like to see me profile, and you may just see those on a later episode. So speaking of lost games, today in the very first episode, I'm going to talk to you about the long-lost game McDonald's that was created by Parker Brothers and originally supposed to be ported on the Atari 2600. Now this has become the stuff of legend because of the fact that the game was never released. It was advertised, but yet because of the video game crash of 1983, it and along with several other games never were released or completed. Or were they? For the past 30 years, fans alike have been wondering whatever happened to this game. Was it created, or was it even finished, or how far did they get on it? First time we heard about this game was when it was mentioned in the Parker Brothers game catalog in 1983. Yeah, back to that bad year of 1983 for video games. Back in those days, a bunch of game companies outside of Atari were making games for the 2600. And since Parker Brothers was well known for making board games, such as Monopoly, they decided to jump on the video game bandwagon as well. Not only did they make games for Atari 2600, they also made games for Colecovision, Intellivision, and just about all the computers that were available at that time, such as Apple IIe, Amiga, Commodore, and the famed Atari 8-bit computer system. However, even though Parker Brothers was well known for making legendary games for the systems like Q*bert and Frogger, they also had some bad sides to them. One of those is the fact that when they would advertise games in the catalogs, the screenshots very rarely ever turned out to look like the game when you got it. Also, they were notorious for advertising games that never got released, which is what McDonald's was a good example of. And I'll have a more in-depth video of Parker Brothers games and some of the legends along with it in a later video. Alright, what you're looking at here is page 13. It came from the 1983 Parker Brothers game catalog that was inserted in the box when you bought a video game. Now, here we have the McDonald's game on the left, and we have the journey to Rivendell from the Lord of the Rings. Again, this was supposed to be a trilogy, but I'll talk about that in a later video. So the advertisement shows the picture of the screenshot, and underneath it, from the home of the Golden Arches to your video game screen comes two exciting video games. There's one especially designed for youngsters featuring those fun-loving McDonald Land characters. And for kids of all ages, a fast-action game of skill served up the McDonald's way. Coming soon. According to legend from people in the know, the kids' version of the game was supposed to be something of a side-scroller in which you were a little kid that was going to rescue the McDonald Land characters from aliens, and then after they were all rescued, you would all go to McDonald's for lunch. Now, all the parents and older folks that are watching this video right now know who the McDonald Land characters are, but for the benefit of the younger viewers, I'll give you a little background on who they were. And here you see the original McDonald Land characters from back in the day. Starting from the left, you have Hamburglar, then Big Mac, Grimace, of course, Ronald McDonald, the Professor, Mayor McCheese, and Captain Crook. And these characters were used in advertisements. They made really cool commercials. They based many Happy Meal toys and some of the playland at the McDonald's themselves around these characters. Now, in the 80s, one of the big traditions was that anything that was popular, and I mean anything, would pretty much be made into a video game. This was not just movies. We'll find out later it was also bands, TV shows, and characters of just about any kind. So being as McDonald's was very popular in the 80s, especially the McDonaldland characters themselves, it made sense that somebody was going to make a video game about them. So Parker Brothers licensed the likeness of the characters and the names in order to create a video game. So therefore, why wasn't the game released? It actually was completed, according to some people that worked for Parker Brothers, but it was never released. And the question has to be, why? Now, they could use the excuse of the video game crash of 1983. A lot of companies that were planning to put out a lot of games didn't after that crash, and the video game industry itself didn't recover permanently until 1987 when the Nintendo NES was released. However, video game companies still continued to make games for the Atari 2600 until about 2001. So what happened to the game? Well, according to some research that I've done, it turns out that they actually tested the game out on some kids, and the kids really didn't like it that much. Now, which version of the game was it? Was it the kiddie version, or was it the more older kid adult version? Nobody really has been able to say. However, some prototypes of the game have, and some screenshots, and even some plans of the game have been released, and I'm going to share those with you right now. Here you have the early prototype cartridges of the games that were released by somebody that worked for Parker Brothers back in the day. What you're looking at here are some schematics of the game. Whether it be the kiddie game or the other game is really hard to tell, but these are the early schematics. Here's another version of the schematics. These schematics that you have seen were all given to AtariAge.com by somebody who actually worked for Parker Brothers back in the day. Eventually, a early prototype of the game was found online and has been available at AtariAge.com and other websites. And here is a look at that early prototype. Yep, that was it. That's all we got. So for the next 30 years, many of us believed that the game had to be out there somewhere. Somebody had the BIN file of this game. The prototype had to be out there. I mean, they tested it out on some kids. Somebody somewhere had the ROM. Well, guess what? It finally came to light. About 3 years ago, somebody announced that they had discovered the ROM for the long-lost Atari McDonald's game. However, it was not made for the 2600. It was actually made for the Atari 8-bit computer. And for the first time, you are going to get a chance to see the long-lost McDonald's game that was created by Parker Brothers and has been lost for over 30 years, and it's now found. So check it out. Okay, you can see that this is the first part of the game, in which the game is actually called Codename Pac-Mac. Now the game is going to start here, and you'll see exactly what the game is about. Lots of fun, and lots of fast action. It's too bad this game wasn't released. You can see that you are actually Ronald McDonald, and you're shooting at these aliens and trying to stop them from eating the Big M, or the Golden Arches of McDonald's. Now it starts off pretty easy, and while you're shooting them, you're actually going around and trying to repair the Golden Arches themselves. Now occasionally you'll run out. See, you'll run out of shots, so you have to go back down to the bottom by the food and pick up more bullets. Now there are 16 aliens per game. Per level that you have to stop. So keep an eye out and watch how fast these aliens start coming. Now the first level is not too bad. You're just shooting them, repairing, shooting, repairing, and it gets pretty simple. You get the hang of it for the first level. Now sometimes it's hard to hit the aliens. You look like you're right on top of them and shooting, but then you miss them. So there I go, repairing and shooting some more. Pick up some more power. Okay, you gotta get this thing fixed. It looks like it's about to start floating away. Oh, there's an alien ship coming past. Now you gotta watch out for that alien ship, because a surprise happens if you don't stop it. Alright, there I got level 1 completed. Here's round 2. Notice they're moving a little bit quicker this time. Yeah, it sounds pretty easy, but believe me, it's not as easy as it looks. Pick up some more firepower. Now, you gotta be careful when you touch the aliens, because sometimes if you touch them, they suck all your bullets away. Oh, and there's the Hamburglar. Oh, stopped him. You gotta watch out for the Hamburglar. He drops from that alien ship, and he comes down there and swipes some of your food. Now, if your food all gets stolen, you lose the game. Okay, down to 7. 6. Ooh, gotta get them repaired. Gotta get them arches repaired. Alright, there's round 2. And here's round 3. Look at them go. Multitasking. Gotta shoot them aliens, pick up the food, and repair the golden arches. A lot to do in a short amount of time. I can assume this is was not intended to be the kiddie version of the game. This one, yeah, I think kids would lose their minds over this one. I don't know how many rounds this game has. According to some people, I've heard it has like 8 rounds. I've heard it has 5. Then other people told me it goes on in depth. Oh, there I got it. Round 3 completed. Alright, let's go to round... Oh, forget it. Here's round 4. Yep. There we go. Yep. Look at them go. Hey, but I'm not giving up. I'm going out like a soldier. Oh, there, Hamburglar got something. Uh-oh. And that's it. Well, that was it. The long-lost McDonald's game. It was, in my opinion, a very fast-paced, fun game. It's really too bad it didn't get released. But don't lose hope. You can download it yourself. Go to AtariAge.com and you'll find it there, along with a lot of other cool prototypes and lost games. And you can play them all on your favorite emulator. Well, that brings us to the end of the very first episode of Classic Gamer 74. I'm Anthony Ventrilo, and I want to thank you all for stopping by. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next week with another video. Thank you, and have a blessed day.